Another season of the NBA is upon us. That means it's time to start doing the work here in the world of Splash Play NBA. And we're going to do what we always do here on the NBA channel at Splash Play Bets. We're going to dig in and compare my projections, some of the industry leaders in particular out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll check out the ownership as well, see who's going to be the chalkiest plays of the day. What do I disagree with the data on? We're going to find out here. And sometimes I'll be really right. Sometimes I'll be really wrong, but we're going to still do the process here, trying to win more in the world of NBA DFS. We're also going to hop over the sims, see what's going on there in terms of your best sim lineups with just Stokastic data, not my involved. And by this video, you're going to know all the must plays for October 21st, Tuesday in the NBA, our first game of the year. Let's get into it. If you guys are watching on Twitter and you're expecting only NFL content on there, I do apologize, but I'm just flowing it through the @SplashPlayPod handle on there. And in fact, I'll give it a retweet. Before we get into the actual content here, it is only a 2-game slate today, with this, of course, being a debut day here. I do want to quickly just talk about my data up top so you can get a read on what I do here. Hopefully the mic's working, or I didn't check this shit in advance. There you go. Forgot I was waiting on the show, and I have your Spags surround sound. You're living the dream, I think, Keith. And the GOAT Spags, I appreciate that. Appreciate all you guys watching here. Of course, make sure to follow the channel at Splash Play Bets. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are watching on Twitter or, of course, on YouTube itself. And make sure to check out Stokastic too. They actually have a deal going right now where click the link in the description, go over there. They have a 50-cent deal, or I guess a $1 deal, where you get access to all the data for, I think, a couple days. So just click the link down in the description on YouTube. Head over there. I get attribution then. You also get the best deal they have going. But in general, the 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. One of the best deals to get all of Stokastic's data and tools. So do that here. But basically, what I do for projections, just to give you guys kind of a breakdown of how, I guess, NBA data works for me. And we also talk about it in general overall. The thing to know, and we talk about it a lot in the NFL channel, projections, basically a representation of the middle outcome of what's expected of a player in football. That's your combination of, I'm saying real basic shit, but we're trying to start from ground one so we can all hopefully be on the same page these next few days coming up. Basically that median projection accounts for an NBA, your assists, your points, your rebounds, your steals, your blocks, how many turnovers you have, your three-pointers, those kind of things all rolled into 1 point. In general, these are all based off of Vegas total. So you can see here, I have a Houston 110.5 implied total, OKC 117. Everything that's built off of that is sort of relying on that Vegas total as the foundation, the point of truth that's I'm not affecting, nobody else out there is affecting, but really you're just trying to build then the stats that come from that expected points total off the players. The way that I do that is using all the players per 100 possession numbers. So if Houston's expected to have 110.5 points, and they normally take 100 possessions to get that 110.5 points, I'm then looking at the team stats, then breaking it down on a player level and looking at however many minutes they have, like that's how many possessions are expected to play. Basically, you find it's sort of like a variable equation if you remember arithmetic, for if you haven't done math in a while, or algebra. You're taking sort of the variables here of, minutes played, how that then relates to usage, rebounds and assists, how that creates the fantasy points, and then it all works out the Vegas totals. This is probably not a great explanation. I didn't write it out in advance, but it's trying to give you what's in my brain in hopes that helps you guys get on the same page. What I also do that's different from some other providers out there, and part of what you could do to support the show this year is go join the channel down below. You get access to my projections, which I update basically every time there's a single injury, no matter how late in the slate it is. I'm doing my own updates for my lineups, so I do the same thing Monday to Friday for the projections you get through this YouTube channel here. It syncs to the Discord, and right away you get access to my sheets, which are updating in real time. But basically, what I try to do every day for myself, and what I would say for most of you guys out there, is operating off of usage, rebound rate, assist rate as sort of your core principles. And for how I make my data special, or what I think is special, is when guys are out, I will look at the limited sample size time that those guys have without player X in the court. For this case today on today's slate, we have the Lakers playing without LeBron. We have Luka Doncic playing obviously in a situation where he's had a lot of success without LeBron. And actually, let me show you guys the site that I use for this stuff. Again, apologies, we're not getting right into everything, but I do want to try to establish what's going on here. All right, so I'm logged in here. Just make sure it has my Chris Spags tab. Okay. So we're going to add more funds, NBA Wowie. This used to be a separate site called NBA Wowie, then add more funds, bought it. I'm integrated into their tools. But basically here you have the core stats I look at here: usage rate, assist rate, total rebound percentage, true shooting. I keep track of, even though I don't really change anything data-wise with that. But true shooting, most important stat in the league, to know basically how players are performing. Are they hitting threes? If they're a big man, are they getting shots at the rim at a viable level? True shooting along with their free throw percentage kind of puts that all together into one number for you to understand. And basically any player that's above 58%, they're above league average. If they're above 60, they're what I would say is like a good player, especially if the usage is high. So just something to keep in mind with that. Fantasy points per minute, how many minutes they've played, how many possessions they've played. So this is with all of the minutes last year. So this includes when Anthony Davis was on the team, includes when Max Christie, if you care about that, D'Angelo Russell, all these guys. We're going to take off LeBron here and just LeBron and AD. And what this will do is isolate the Lakers' minutes to just the court time that was without those guys. So you can see here, Austin Reeves, 30% usage without LeBron, without AD. That includes some time before Luka was on the team, but we're still getting a decent read on the idea that Austin Reeves is one player. When LeBron's out there sucking up some usage, Anthony Davis, same thing. When LeBron and AD are not out there, Austin Reeves becomes a real usage-dominant player. And these are two things to look at, to kind of get a read on how many possessions a guy's killing when he's on the court. Between the 29.5% usage and the 29.7% assist rate, Austin Reeves is normally gobbling up, when LeBron and AD didn't play last year, about 60% of the possessions. So that's sort of the way the math works out. Obviously, with Luka Doncic, he had a 42.7% usage rate last year without LeBron and AD. He never played with AD, obviously. 44.5% assist rate, and this is only his Lakers time. So he's killing about almost 90% of the possessions. So there is sort of a bit of a thing that goes, at contrast to each other there, where Austin Reeves is not going to have 60% of the possessions when he's on the court with Luka, who's taken 90% of the possessions. But that's sort of how the math works out. And in general, too, the rule of thumb is that if you have over 1,000 possessions, that's a stable sample size. Basically, the numbers start to become more predictable when you have 1,000 possessions. So it's what we're looking for here. I still will kind of take some read on the numbers. 500 more possessions. We'll take a sort of inkling that a guy gets more shots up, gets more assist rate, gets more rebounds, all that stuff. This is a really key important part of the process here that every site does reflect overall, but I try to be mindful of, willing to kind of take some risks with this stuff and make a read on, when LeBron is out, like who really benefits. In this case, it's Luka Doncic going for 1.79 DK points per minute. It's Austin Reeves going for 1.36. Don't connect even 1.06. Like, these guys are much better players when LeBron's not out there, so they should get a bump, and that's how it works out for my data. Shout out to all you guys joining live here. Appreciate it. It's weird. On this channel, it's all at names. But I appreciate all you guys being here as always. And again, all of you guys who also followed the new channel here. It's been idle for basically 4 months since the NBA Finals ended. But we are doing NBA content all through the @SplashPlayBets channel. If for some reason you're on Twitter and you're confused, just go to the NFL channel. There's also a playlist. You can see the NBA videos they funnel through. All right, but let's get into my data here. I think we've established kind of the baseline. Similar stuff to NFL as well. Sims tool is going to help you out. For me, with my projections make me unique enough, and I kind of have enough of a read on what a player who would sim well would be. I just run stuff through the solver sometimes if I'm low on time and don't want to run a full sim on Stokastic. But you can update projections with Stokastic. You can also update my projections with Stokastic if you want, and upload them into the system that'll give you a sim based off that data. But that's just sort of the baseline of understanding, hopefully, here. And if you guys have questions, really no dumb questions, because it's a new NBA season, so I'm more willing to kind of coach you guys up based on things that I know, things I've had success with. So feel free to drop them in the chat or in the comments as well after the fact, so we have a little bit of an evergreen window now. We're doing these videos at 2 p.m. every day, and that is the goal right now. Videos at 2 p.m. It's a possibility I might do it earlier if the data seems like it's getting updated in time and I could do a video at like 9 or 10. I would love to do that to give myself more of a window to get views, but plan right now at 2 p.m. every day. And I'll be on live before lock 3 times a week with Stokastic as well, including today, tomorrow, Friday, and actually this week, Saturday too. So 4 days this week. All right, let's go. Houston, 110.5. Actually, you know what? We should go through go through this one. I've forgotten how the process works. Highest projected players. We'll start with that. Okay, and I'm sorting by my projection here. You can see Stokastic data as well. You can also see how much I got these guys in the semi-round with my data before the show. And again, at the end of the video, we will run a clean sim with just Stokastic data. So if you want to fade me entirely, don't want to get a read on my projections, you just take what they say in a moment here, or in a little bit when we get to that part of the video. All right, Luka Doncic, 11K salary. Again, DraftKings focused here. FanDuel, though, you're going to find a lot of similar things if you are playing on there. 49.2% expected ownership. I'm getting it at 56. Projection right now for me at 57.1, for Stokastic at 57.2. I mean, the main thing that jumps out right away with Luka is what we just saw in Add More Funds on the NBA Wowie. Basically, for Luka Doncic, last year without LeBron on the team, shooting a respectable 59% true shooting, 1.8 fantasy points per minute for Luka Doncic. That is a crazy number for Luka overall, but really we're talking about guys like Nikola Jokic, guys like Giannis when he's really running hot, about 1.9 fantasy points per minute, 1.8 in a lot of games. For Luka, he's right in that range of the best players. And in fact, USGA gets a bump today for no Jalen Williams. He's averaged 1.67 fantasy points per minute without Jalen Williams on the court. So Luka getting a bigger boost than SGA is. That said, for the Lakers, you do have Austin Reeves, who has played pretty well without LeBron, without AD. Maybe he's more live to take some possessions away from Luka than anybody on the Thunder would be for SGA with Jalen Williams out. But I would say for me, just right off the salaries, right off the projection, it does seem like Luka Doncic is the better play overall, better value as well than SGA. Hard to not love SGA, by the way. If you watch the starting five thing on Netflix at all, I've gotten about 2 episodes in. Really likable. I've always liked SGA as a player because he's so efficient, does exactly how I think you should play basketball. But like to hear him talk as a guy, like he just wants to be great. He claims he doesn't care about being famous, even though he does dress like a little wannabe fashionista. I like SGA a lot, and I do think there's lineups today you'll get where you get both guys in. I do think a lot of people's instinct will be to get Luka Doncic and SGA in. The question is just how much you depreciate the quality of your lineup around that by playing both guys. But if I had to choose one, I would choose Luka. The ownership, though, is also a little bit higher for Luka. So same thing we talk about with NFL. Your first thought, my first thought could be very similar to a lot of the fields. And frankly, that's even more true for NBA because the field is so sharp. In NFL, you still have like 20% of lineups that are kind of donkeys. They might get some stuff right, but they're just playing off of not the things that we know are the best process. They're playing off of DVP on the site itself. For NBA, you have a lot more sharp players. Even the players who aren't super successful are usually playing with good projections, playing pretty smart, playing close to the projection. NBA, it's really important to be playing, paying closer to the projection overall, because that's just NBA runs a lot more simply that way. Your 100% plays in NBA happen infinitely more than NFL, where you could talk yourself into fading any player in the NFL and NBA. That's not really the case. Midday content is scarce. Jesus Christ. Spears too. Scarce, thank you for that. Hate waiting for later every day. I appreciate that. Look, the hope is to get it out a little bit before other people. And last year, I loved Unabated. Great partner for me last year. I just didn't like doing the videos at 4 p.m. and having to be beholden to the video just expires the moment it ends. Now I'm hoping we get a little more shelf life. So I appreciate that a bunch here. And again, 2 p.m. every day Eastern. This is going to be the goal. So strap in with me here. Steph Curry, your guy behind SGA and Luka Doncic, pretty decent clip behind in terms of projection. 42.9 is my projection, 43.4 for Stokastic. So a little bit lower on SGA and Curry. Basically dead even with Luka Doncic for our top 3 projected guys. For Steph Curry, he's great. I mean, the big thing for him that I think that affected him last year is that Jimmy Wade takes a good amount of shots. Jonathan Kuminga, guy who got his new money in, is playing for not just whatever can happen with the Warriors, but also auditioning for his next team. Teams like the Kings, teams like the Suns, wanted to pay him more money, but couldn't really figure out how to make it work without the Warriors giving in. Didn't end up working out, so he's stuck on the Warriors for now. But basically, it's a spot where the usage could get a little bit thinner for Steph Curry. It's also, the regular season. It's just hard to expect him to have the ball in his hands as often as Luka Doncic and SGA will, respectively for their 2 teams. That said, again, I do think a lot of people will go right away to Luka and SGA as their first 2 players in. Just flesh the rest out with value or, semi-values. So to get to Steph Curry, to get to Şengün instead, this range looks under-owned relatively with Steph at a 22% ownership, Şengün at 16.5. We're talking about more than 2x for Luka Doncic and SGA. So if Steph gets going, gets hot from 3, and certainly he can against a Lakers team that has gotten even worse defensively, I would think. A little better in the middle with adding DeAndre Ayton, but you've lost a lot of the guys who defended well. You're adding Marcus Smart in, who can't really guard guards anymore. He can guard your wings pretty well. Steph can get going here, so I don't want to poo-poo him entirely. But I do think value-wise, price-wise, you'd rather go to Luka and SGA, I think, just based on the data. Is there one game being owned much more than the other today, or pretty even? It seems like pretty even to me. I think you're not getting a ton of ownership going. I mean, we're going to see it. We're going to go through the game by game view, so I don't want to answer the question in advance too much. But the least ownership going to Houston, it seems like. Good amount to OKC. Golden State seems a little bit light besides 1 or 2 guys. Lakers definitely going to be pretty well owned, though, because you don't have LeBron, and prices can't really account for that in game 1. Şengün at 9,200 had a killer offseason, looked good in international competition. A lot of reports as well of him kind of making a leap based on what people have seen in the various player runs around the world, the various practices that have been with various coaches and guys like that, shooting coaches. There's always little things that leak from that. Şengün's apparently been a killer in those periods. I've always also liked Şengün. There was a period a couple years ago where I was calling him mini Jokic, and I felt kind of silly saying that. Now I think numerically it is backing out. He looks a lot like a mini Jokic player. The issue I have have for him is at 9,200. We do have Kevin Durant coming into this rotation, and he's really expensive at 9,700, but he's a guy last year in Phoenix, 28.7% usage rate, 20% assist rate as well. He takes possessions away. You're losing Van Vliet, who is not a player that mattered a lot, in my opinion, for how Houston's offense run, how the usage and stuff would flow. He really kind of gave up a lot of the role he had previous stops, previous years. For Kevin Durant coming in, he's not going to give up a lot. He's going to get his shots up, and he'll be efficient doing it. I don't love the price tag for Şengün. I think these guys come down to more the 8K range. So a lot of people will think the same thing again today, but it's hard for me to get to Şengün, hard for me to get to Durant. I think their prices are really way too high, especially for Durant, given the fact that I have Austin Reeves straight up projected better. But Şengün over 40. There's only 4 players on the slate projected over 40 fantasy points, and it's Şengün, Curry, Luka Doncic, SGA. Austin Reeves, again, big winner without LeBron out there. Also a guy getting some big money, it seems like, in his new contract. So for Austin Reeves, a guy that we're expecting to be built around here, and he seems like a guy as well. The Lakers, obviously their LeBron status. LeBron could demand a trade any day now if he thinks they're not a contender. Who knows? Lakers don't seem super motivated to keep him part of the future. But for Luka Doncic with Austin Reeves, like defensively, not a great combo. In terms of scoring, though, Austin Reeves does a lot. He is a good shooter, is a guy that picks up a good amount of usage as well. So for Austin Reeves, I feel like he's always been slept on because he's often playing, alongside LeBron, alongside AD. But whenever those guys are off, Austin Reeves goes nuts. 7,300 for him. Nice team total as well today for the Lakers, or not a bad one, I guess, with 111.5. I think for Austin Reeves at 7,300, he's a really strong play. The data backs it out as well. I have him as a 5.4x value. Stokastic not too far behind. Ownership expected to be 46% on Austin Reeves. Fields at 67, or I'm at 67. Fields at 46. Sorry. I'm rusty here from reading all the things together. Do I think SGA rocks a thong at night? No, I don't think so. I didn't get the sense. Again, I watched Starting Five, so I know a lot about SGA now. He seems like a pretty normal guy. Like, I don't think he's doing girl stuff. He just does, he's dressed like an 80s black guy. It's where it's all leather. It's a lot of garish stuff. Apparently one of his suits, the suit he wore to the NBA draft, was was originally a curtain or a dining tablecloth was like what it was. I don't know. So for SGA, I think he's cool. Like SGA. Kevin Durant, I've got him low. We're going to skim through these guys here. Jimmy Butler, 4.5x value, coming up to 27% for the field. I got him at 23. Durant is a pretty big fade for me. I just don't see how he gets the huge upside here in a team of really aggressive rebounders, guys that are also not super fantastic scorers, and I think KD is going to suddenly gain a ton of assist upside. So I'm very comfortable fading Durant today, but, he's got a ceiling, and he's only got 9.5% ownership on him, so maybe he's the guy who spikes meaningfully at a price tag that just feels wrong to me on the slate. Butler, Amin Thompson, Chet Holmgren, all these guys are on 25% ownership but not looking like great values. And this guy's going to be a top value, so in fact, let me just sort by it here. Isaiah Hartenstein, if you watched the videos last year, you will know that I am getting so much Isaiah Hartenstein. This is my projection. This is not the Sims. This is me and my projection for Hartenstein. The issue for me is that, so it's twofold. Number one, Hartenstein was fantastic last year when he actually did play meaningful minutes. Playoffs, it got weird. But he averaged 1.16 fantasy points per minute. On the Thunder, that would still be third best overall out of the guys that are playing, but it's still really good relative to a normal NBA slate. And this time you have a spot versus Houston where you have a lot of big men. I don't think you're going to get Clint Capella playing a ton of minutes today, but he'll be out there some. Steven Adams, he's projected for 21 minutes. They'll play double bigs. You should get a lot of minutes for Hartenstein today where, normally he can lose minutes. He's 5,400. The projection here from Stokastic is 26.8 minutes. And he also is a better player when Jalen Williams is off the court. He's normally averaging, as I mentioned, 1.16 fantasy points a minute. With Jalen Williams off the court, gets a little bit more usage, a little more rebounding upside, 1.26 fantasy points a minute without Jalen Williams. So for me, Hartenstein, if there were a player on the slate, I was running some stuff through the solver optimizer as well. Hartenstein, even if I put in 3 uniques, I'm still getting Hartenstein in every lineup with a 31.4 projection. And I'm not that far ahead of Stokastic at 30.7. So right away, he's probably the most fragile spot. Let's say he gets in foul trouble and Jalen Williams comes in as the backup, does some good work. If Chet Holmgren goes off, he does pull from the same plate as Hartenstein, or let's say they sit Hartenstein a little, play Holmgren. They could also try to go small because Houston does go, so big, can go double bigs, as we saw last year with Şengün and Adams playing a good amount of time together, especially when we got to the playoffs. I think that for Hartenstein, most important play on the slate because if he hits, he's going to pay off for a pretty big portion of the field as one of the best values. If he doesn't hit, he'll open up other players or sort of tell you a part of the puzzle for how the game flow didn't go, which is the Thunder playing big. So for Hartenstein, I think he is a good play today. And if I'm not playing him, I would boost Jalen Williams with Y. The other Jalen Williams not playing, so hopefully don't play that one. But I would boost him a little bit. I would boost just the concept of small ball lineups. I'd boost Holmgren a little bit. Hard to go small because they don't have Kenrich Williams today and have like still a center out there. But my guess would be that they kind of have to go big. But if they decide to make the pivot, as teams sometimes do, especially smart teams like the Thunder, then Hartenstein is going to be chalk that's really fragile. Austin Reeves, we talked about him enough already. He's still a top value despite being 7,300. Luka Doncic, same thing at 11K. He's a 5.2x value, and they're only, based on my data, 5 guys above a 5x value. Gary Payton, another one that'll come up a lot here. I know my pal Josh Engelman talked about him on Stokastic's morning show or the strategy show. Going through that a little bit. Payton does look like a decent value, expected to play 18 minutes. Very possible, though, he doesn't really play those minutes or, doesn't do super effective things that time. He feels like the play that gets to a lot of lineups, but really, if there's anybody else that projects decently at 3,200 or, around that range, they're functionally, I think, going to be the same play as Gary Payton. And always, these guys get overplayed on short slates because they help lineups work. Gary Payton can certainly be a part of a winning lineup, but 51% sim ownership for me compared to the field's 28. I really don't love that being a big stand because I don't think Gary Payton's any great shakes. SGA still top value despite being 10-3. Again, one of very few guys that I have over a 5x value, which is still, kind of your Mendoza line for what usable DFS players should look like projection-wise. Draymond Green, 4.9x. I think he's the most live pivot to Hartenstein relative to the price point. Still a spot for him where I don't know what the minutes are to start the year. Certainly some ways that it seems like they could go potentially with him more at the 4, less at the 5, which makes him slightly less productive. And having Jimmy Butler out there also does kind of inhibit Draymond too. So I'm not crazy about him at 5,700, but if you're going to play a lot of Hartenstein, I think getting some Draymond as a pivot point looks pretty good. Aaron Wiggins, very important play here. A guy that has historically put up 1.05 fantasy points per minute without Jalen Williams on the court. Should get more run in Aaron Wiggins because it is a regular season. You're not likely to see him get yanked off the court too much for his kind of ineffective defense. He is a killer whenever he gets court time. So Aaron Wiggins at 5K, another one to me. The value, I think, pretty strong here. DeAndre Ayton, not too far behind. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Jabari Smith, who I guess will play alongside Şengün some amount. Will play some for Jabari Smith, 30.9 minutes, though, feels kind of aggressive. We'll take the game-by-game view here. We'll go to the Sims next, guys. And the video, probably not going to be a full hour today, but hopefully we're covering the important stuff. But guys, if you can, please do show some love down below because it is a brand new start for the channel here, and the channel's been idle for like 5 months. Please do hit that like button, subscribe. It goes a long way from here, and whether it's NFL or NBA, I'm just one dude showing you my gambling, the work that I put in to try to be competent at this stuff, not just for myself and how I spend my money, but also for you guys. I show up hard. I work hard every day. I show up hard every day because I want you guys to be impressed, but I also want to give you guys actual value with how much I show up hard. But I really do a lot of work to make this stuff look good on screen, to also give you guys good data. So please show some love, subscribe down below, hit the like button, and also do join the Discord if you want all my projections, which will make you more unique. And my projections are not some batshit stuff. Like, I really are strong projections that are not too far off center, but are unique enough that I think you'll have some unique lanes. Last year I hit on shit like Quentin Grimes before the public was there, before Miles Bridges. Whenever there was guys missing, I was getting him a lot. There are things that I highlight in my data that I don't think the industry does a great job of. You get access to that stuff, not the $5 tier that just gets you on the Discord and supports the show. But if you join the Squirt Squad tiers, you get my projections. You get the same sheet I show you here on screen, minus Stokastic's data, or you get a version where you can just update the projections or upload the projections to a sim or to an optimizer. So support the show, check out my projections, and please do that this year because nobody's sponsoring it. Shout out, I am the KY. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys showing up hard. I show up hard for Shay for sure. He dresses like a lady. How could you not? Let's see. Bam in Golden State? What? Are they trading for Bam? I don't think so anytime soon. But yeah, we'll go game by game here. Let's get into it. So similar stuff to what you just saw, but Houston 110.5 implied points. Again, Kevin Durant looks low for me here, only a 4x value. Certainly if he goes nuts shooting, if Houston just defers him on night one, or if he plays the chip on his shoulder. I know the narrative of him going back to OKC, having to watch them put up a banner. That's all stuff that might come out in the wash. But for Kevin Durant right now, I think a player who I find a hard time to get to here, besides the fact that Maybe he's got tournament winning upside theoretically, but at 9,700, I just don't see how this works out with what Houston's offense is. Şengün, 9,200, not a lot for him either. Fields at 16.5. I got him at 12.7. He does feel like the potential remedy to if Hartenstein fails. I guess if Draymond also fails, you put him in the center spot. Maybe Şengün can be a guy that has much more upside, or even if he just gives you 40, nobody else on the slate might give you 40 at center. I think Şengün's got utility. That said, just having Kevin Durant out there changes the math a lot. And a guy like Şengün, he does the best when he's the only player on the court kind of dominating touches. I think he'd be much better off like being the center on a team that's got nobody else. If he went to Brooklyn right now, like he would put up fucking 70-point days every day. As it is right now, he's on a legit team. He's got to be a legit defender, get better at kind of guarding the rim. That's stuff that doesn't necessarily bode well for having enough fantasy upside at 9,200 when Kevin Durant's also on your team now. So the prices, I just don't get it here with Durant coming in and being 9,700. Şengün seems way too expensive for a team with a 110.5 implied total that also played fairly slow last year. Amen Thompson can always spike defensively, 7,900. He'll also be the lead point guard to some extent, is the most recent assumptions based off of the reporting out there. I guess a possibility that Reed Sheppard could start. That would change things a little bit. But Reed Sheppard, a guy who I like a lot. I don't know if I'd play him at 4,900. Even if he is starting alongside Durant, alongside Şengün, alongside Amen Thompson or Tari Eason or Jabari Smith. It's a lot of guys who are going to get shots up. So just Houston looks like a tough play to me. The field being with 25.5% Amen Thompson, I can't really get there. Tari Eason at 28.5% ownership. I got 29.3. That's the best stand I have for Houston. Tari Eason does a lot defensively. Didn't get a new deal for himself. So not locked into an increased role in any way, but he does add some stocks, does produce pretty well with 1.09 fantasy points per minute. I expect that to come down with Durant coming into the rotation here, as you can see in this right column. These are the expected fantasy points per minute for today's projection. Jabari Smith, never really my guy, but I got him at 28%, Fields at 30. He's a nice price tag at 5,200 and having the multi-position eligibility of power forward and center. Reed Sheppard killed in the preseason, but he'll do better when he has less guys available for Houston, and when you take out a starter and you give him full run, I think that's when he'll crush. If they're resting guys, Reed Sheppard's going to be a player who's going to go nuts in those spots. For night one, I think with how he played in the preseason, I think he might get a little bit overplayed. He hasn't shown he's really able to get a pro-level shot. With only 47% true shooting last year. But he does pad stats when he's out there. Rebounds, assists, gets a few steals occasionally. Reed Sheppard, a good player, but I think not for the slate necessarily at high volume. Steven Adams, kind of surprised to get 22% of him. Clint Capella playing any minutes creates some risk for Steven Adams, and frankly, to some extent, for Alper and Şengün. But Adams here at 4,200, he is a value play. He'll likely plays, I guess, 21 minutes according to Stokastic. Seems like a decent enough play who contributed fairly well. And he rebounds like a demon, so that can add up pretty fast if he does get the court time. Josh Okogie at 3,300, a value. Got 6% of him in the top 150. Fields at 12.6. But again, Houston seems like the least owned team today, and they should be. But certainly if somehow Durant or Şengün hit, people aren't going to be there enough. Shout out Rob Griff III here between meetings. I wanted to pop in. You rock hard cock for round. Why? That wasn't even a super chat and I read it. But I appreciate all of our regulars being here. Appreciate all the members being here. Again, hop into the Discord, guys. Join the channel. You get access to the Discord right away. And of course, if you want to see the stuff I'm showing you on screen here, you get that here. But I was happy to see our guys moving over to NBA because NBA is a lot of fun. Not as many people play it as when NFL season ends. But this time of year, I think is often a lot of upside because the data is really fluid and how people approach it at the beginning of a season varies pretty wildly. So a lot of the data sites out there, your ETRs, your Stokastics will kind of defer to the longer term sample size. I try to incorporate the current season as much as I can without kind of really fucking up the projections. But NBA early season, I think is going to be, it can be volatile, but I think gives you a lot of upside. OKC, 117 implied points is the highest on the slate. SGA, we talked about enough here. Great play at 10-3. The fact he's so much cheaper than Luka Doncic. I think he's a strong play. Even though he's cheaper, though, he does project for less ownership than Luka, so that is something to keep in mind. Chet Holmgren with this much ownership going. So I say Hartenstein, Holmgren going nuts, playing more center. Hartenstein hitting the bench for whatever reason because they want to go smaller like they did in the playoffs. I mean, Hartenstein actively lost minutes to Holmgren in the playoffs where the shooting for Holmgren, his ability to stretch the floor. They needed that a little bit more. They needed the wing defense too. I don't know that you need that stuff versus Houston. I think you want a big man out there to bang, but OKC can get creative. So again, if you don't play Hartenstein, who looks like the best value on the slate, to me, and not too far off from Stokastic, think playing Holmgren more, playing some of the other guys that could be going small, I guess Jalen Williams as well, in case they just go with a different big. Those are sort of your main pivots for what should be a fairly chalky Isaiah Hartenstein today. Hartenstein, though, looks great, produces well overall, produces even better with Jalen Williams off the court. I'd have him at 1.17 expected fantasy points a minute today. Kason Wallace will be out there a good amount, again, mostly playing defense, but he can shoot. I mean, he can shoot well enough. Under average, 6.2% true shooting. But we saw him spike a little bit in the playoffs in games where, frankly, he shouldn't have. Kason Wallace at 5,100, not a very exciting play. I'd rather get Aaron Wiggins, but certainly with Kason Wallace right here playing more minutes, this is a spot where maybe you want to level out the ownership a little bit more compared to me having double the field on, well, not double, but 52% Aaron Wiggins, 19% Kason Wallace. If you were to flatten that out, I think it'd be a logical thing to do. Alex Caruso, kind of surprised that he would play today. Kind of surprised he would come up this much ownership-wise as well at 38%. Caruso, there is sort of a slow roll for him. He got banged up in the preseason. I don't know that he gets unlimited run. Like, we're not in playoff Alex Caruso, which is really the main thing. Last year, they tried to kind of limit his exposure. Even in games where, like, the stars were out, Caruso really never went nuts minutes-wise. I don't know why he's a super chalky play today, besides the 4,600 looking pretty good, and the fact that Caruso spikes enough. But I really don't think he gains as much from Jalen Williams being out as an Aaron Wiggins will, even as a Hartenstein will, even as a Kason Wallace will. Chet Holmgren, another guy too, maybe makes a leap in this year, and he gets some more usage up today, but like, I just don't see it for Caruso, so getting 25% field at 38, it might be even lower for me when the final numbers come in. Lou Dort, another guy whose minutes have been a little bit less sticky, I think, in the playoffs than I would have thought, is sort of your go-to defender. The usage as well does flow down pretty bad for him certain times. That said, 22% ownership for him for the field. I got him at 19. Nothing crazy. Jalen Williams, really feel like this is more of a brain play than a projection play. But if Hartenstein gets in foul trouble and they still want to go big, Jalen Williams could put up a triple-double if he gets any court time at all. I would want to have some here, just probably not in lineups where I play Hartenstein. And AJ Mitchell, a guy who has spiked upside before in some of the preseason, as well as when he's had time without the starters available. Mitchell at 3,800, a value. Field's going to play him at 18%. I got 8, so not insignificant ownership for him. But if the game gets out of hand in some way, if OKC goes nuts, or if AJ Mitchell just kind of heats up off the bench to give him a few good minutes, he's the kind of guy that at 3,800, playing him with the field doesn't seem crazy. Second game on the slate here, really last game on the slate. Golden State 114.5. Again, not a ton of ownership here for Steph Curry, 21.7. I got him at 22% in my sim, top 150. Jimmy Butler, 27% expected ownership. I got him at 23. They're not great values, but they are guys that have tangible ceilings, so a sim will give you them more than a straight run in an optimizer would. Brandon Pajemski, Draymond Green said that he's going to be one that carries the torch for the Warriors when Steph and Jimmy Butler and Draymond all retire. I don't know that he's that guy. I like Pajemski a lot more when he is not. He's like the star, when he's not the fifth banana on a team. 6,600 is like an insane price tag for him. I get Stokastic has him playing 30-plus minutes, but Pajemski just not really that dude to me when you have Steph and Jimmy Butler in, and Kuminga with a new deal. He's in. I just don't see how you'd play Pajemski, but he's coming up 17%. Sim gave me 15%. Practically, I can't imagine I'll have any in a 20 max that I play tonight. Jonathan Kuminga, 20% ownership overall. I've got him at 17. He's not expected to start, but if he does start, the minutes come up a little bit more. Maybe Pajemski goes to the bench. I'm not sure that would happen, but it's a possibility. For Kuminga, he was good last year. The issue is he's not the number one option, and with Butler and Curry and Draymond out there, it's going to be the case again. But he'll force shots up. I guess if he gets hot, he can get going. 5,900, though, seems a little bit expensive to me. Buddy Hield, I don't see how you get to him very much at 5,800. 5% expected ownership. I'm at 1.3. The projection doesn't look good enough to me, even though I have him about 3 fantasy points higher than Stokastic does. Draymond Green, 38% expected ownership. I got him at 46. Draymond actually played pretty decently last year with 0.96 fantasy points a minute. The big thing for him is that it's got to come mostly through rebounds, assists, and stocks, because the usage is not there, and he's shooting terribly. Even by Draymond standards, 53% true shooting is like a joke. Anybody else, you wouldn't be in the league at this point. For Draymond, though, he's out there. He'll play some center. How much he plays, though, with Al Horford seems like it's got to go down, because they still like Quentin Post. They could always dust off Trace Jackson Davis, even though that doesn't seem that likely at this point. But Draymond, he's coming up here, I'd rather play Hartenstein, but certainly Draymond a pivot for Hartenstein and not a bad value. And Gary Payton, too obvious of a value, I think, at a 5.2x value. Expected to play 17.9 minutes. There's no Moses Moody today, so the minutes are probably a little more secure for him. But certainly he could do nothing while he's out there. Gary Payton, not an exciting play. That said, right now I'm getting him at 2x the field, almost 51% of my top 150. And the sim has him, and the field is expected to be at 28. And last but not least, before we go to Stokastic Sims, we'll go to the Lakers here. 111.5 implied points. Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, they have both been killers with LeBron off the court. I don't see why that would change today. Really not too worried about the Warriors' defense. Technically, pretty flat pace matchup here. Slight pace down for the Lakers, but it doesn't really matter that much. For Luka, though, he's putting up 1.79 fantasy points without LeBron on the Lakers. And he's not even shooting like lights out or anything. It's not like it's unsustainable shooting with it. I think he's the strongest play on the slate today. That said, so will the field at 49% ownership. And that's why I only got 56% in my top 150. Austin Reeves, I got a little bit more. 67% of my top 150 sim lineups have him. Fields at 46. Again, he's been a killer without LeBron. That's the big thing to me. It's 7,300, just way too cheap, especially on a slate where so many guys seem overpriced. Austin Reeves is not, in my opinion, appropriately priced. DeAndre Ayton, think he gets less usage on the team, still carrying his Trailblazers rates over to this year because I don't know what he's going to put up for the Lakers. In the preseason, he was really not shooting, but was rebounding fairly well, playing rim defense fairly well. I would say if Reeves and Doncic somehow don't get there, or one of them doesn't get there, the chances of Ayton maybe getting a few more shots up, playing well, I think is a possibility. But it seems like that's not the focus. He even said himself when he had the kind of shitty no points preseason game, it's like, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to defend. I'm here to kind of earn my place with the role they're giving me. I don't know if that lasts all year, but for Ayton, I just don't think the usage will hold. So getting him at 26%, I'm fine with that. Fields at 36. I don't want to have 0 on him, but I don't want to have like 50% on him for sure. Rui Hachimura, never a guy I like that much, especially when we have enough actual shooters and high usage guys available on the team. That said, he's coming up 18.5% of the field, and I got him at 17. Jake LaRavia looks like the most live value to me at 3,600. Produced pretty well as a Grizzly/King. Now he's on the Lakers. They wanted him pretty bad, apparently. Not really a guy who's a sexy click. He's coming up 19.6% of the time for the field. I got him at 22. Less of Vanderbilt, less of Gabe Vincent, but those guys are on the roster. They're going to play some amount of minutes. Marcus Smart probably wouldn't play either, but he will also be out there playing defense and probably shooting less than he did on a Wizards team last year where there was nothing at all, or Wizards and Memphis, whatever the fuck it's been. Nothing mattered for him last year. These rates, 21% usage for him. It's not going to be there very long if I had to guess. All right, let's go to the Stokastic sim. You got to read on all my data here. Let's see what Stokastic has for us. And of course, if you want access to the data here on Stokastic, use that promo code SPLASH. Link down below, but also right now they have a deal going. Click the link in the description. Go over there. They have a deal for $1. You get their access, I think, for the first 2 days. It might be for a week, but it's a good deal right now that Stokastic has going. But if you use my promo code, or you just click the link in the description, rather, you have to use the promo code, you'll get their deal for a couple days, then you go full price. You can also just get 15% off in perpetuity by using promo code SPLASH. So choose your fighter there. They both support the show. Half the money you pay to Stokastic comes back to me, and it's a big way I'm able to do what I do here for NFL, for NBA. So please support that stuff. Let's run this sim here. Projections haven't updated in a few hours, but nothing's changed, so it doesn't matter that much. We'll go 25% to first because feels like Stokastic's team uses generally less variance than I've been using, so I'm going to try to use a little bit less when I'm building my lineups as well as on here on stream. But we'll see what we get. And, yeah, checking chats. Nothing too noteworthy here. Basketball emoji got a Bolden shower. Okay, good. Like, I had to read that one out loud. But shout out to all you guys here. Day 1 of the NBA season. Again, videos every day, 2 p.m. Eastern. So watch on Twitter, watch on YouTube, watch one of them. We're going to select no uniques here. We'll read the top lineups here from Stokastic data. Again, my data not involved in the picture. This is just their data as of their last update. You got SGA, Gary Payton in your top lineup, a 194% ROI. Alex Caruso, Jabari Smith, Isaiah Hartenstein does make it for Stokastic as well. Steph Curry in this one, Draymond in this one, DeAndre Ayton in this one. So we are fading Luka, fading Austin Reeves as well. Getting the cheaper Steph Curry in. Slightly more balanced lineup. Unfortunately, it's balanced with guys that I'm not like super stoked about. Number 2 is Luka Doncic in this one. No SGA though. Amin Thompson, Alex Caruso, Draymond Green, Isaiah Hartenstein, Gary Payton, Jonathan Kuminga, DeAndre Ayton. Number 3 is Steph Curry, Gary Payton, Alex Caruso, Jabari Smith, Isaiah Hartenstein, Luka Doncic, Aaron Wiggins, DeAndre Ayton. So Ayton coming up. 3 of the top 3 lineups, all of Ayton. No ETR for NBA because I don't have access to it and I don't use it as part of my process. SGA at number 4. Austin Reeves, right with him. Alex Caruso, Draymond Green, Steven Adams, Gary Payton, Jake LaRavia, and Luka Doncic. So this one, we get Luka and SGA in. You also get my boy Reeves in. We're getting Caruso, Steven Adams, Gary Payton, Jake LaRavia to get the value in with those guys. Does feel like maybe a little bit too much in the pay down options there alongside SGA and Reeves and Doncic. So if you're going to play SGA and Doncic, you might have to fade Austin Reeves, I think would be the way that looks. Number 5 is SGA, Gary Payton, Alex Caruso, Jabari Smith, Isaiah Hartenstein, Steph Curry, Rui Hachimura, and DeAndre Ayton. So your top 5 here. 4 out of the top 5 have DeAndre Ayton. Isaiah Hartenstein also in 4 out of the top 5. You're getting SGA and or Luka in all of them. Getting Steph in more than I would have thought. And Austin Reeves be a little bit less involved than he will be in my data. Overall, your top ROI players, according to Stokastic, Gary Payton, your only positive ROI on the slate. That 3,200 allows you to do decent stuff, I guess, around him would be really the assumption. And he's projected to play about 17 minutes. So it is a fluid spot for Gary Payton. I don't trust his production or the minutes. That said, if he hits, he will probably be in the winning lineup, would be my guess. There's nobody else around that price point that seems even remotely playable. Isaiah Hartenstein, your number 2 ROI guy, though he has a slightly negative number at negative 4.5%. DeAndre Ayton, number 3 at negative 5.6. Alex Caruso, number 4, negative 6.3. And Draymond Green, number 5, negative 11.2. Austin Reeves, SGA, Jabari Smith, not too far behind. Overall, with no uniques put on this lineup here, you're getting Hartenstein at 80.7%, which is very similar to what I got him at. Okay. Well, let me make sure I had no uniques, right? I didn't select any. Yeah, no uniques. Okay. So Hartenstein, Hartenstein projected for 47% ownership. Stokastic wants to get 81%. So it does seem like no matter whether you're using my data or Stokastic's, you're going to get Hartenstein a lot. Gary Payton, 69% exposure, Fields at 29. Again, does not feel like such a nice number of 69% here because Gary Payton is like a real flimsy play. But there are very few $3,000 plays in the slate. So you get how Gary Payton comes up. Certainly, if you don't include him, they're going to be more unique for at least relative to Stokastic users. DeAndre Ayton, 61% exposure, Fields at 34. Alex Caruso, 61% exposure, Fields at 38. And Luka Doncic, 57% exposure, your 5th highest exposed guy, Fields at 49. Highest leverage guys in Stokastic's top 150. Gary Payton, they wanted to get 40% more than the field. Isaiah Hartenstein, 33% more. DeAndre Ayton, 26% more. Alex Caruso, you're getting him in 61% of lineups. That's 22% more than the field's expected. 38% exposure. SGA, 12% leverage. Fields at 41%. So it's a pretty big stand for him as well, even though it didn't feel that big initially. That's what she said. Negative leverage. Jimmy Butler, you're only playing in 13% of the top 150 lineups. Fields at negative 15.5. AJ Mitchell in only 6% of lineups. Fields at 17.7. So it's about a 12% negative leverage here. Reed Shepherd, negative 10% leverage. Stokastic thinks he's too flimsy of a play. Would be my guess with the field at 12% ownership. Kevin Durant, real hard fade on Durant here. 0.7% exposure. Really feels like the spot that data players will not play Durant today, but I'll bet you a few casuals will, the revenge narrative and all that. And Jared Vanderbilt, negative 10% leverage. Fields at 18, so that is a slightly, it's a stand basically dead even with Lou Dort and a little bit behind Reed Shepherd. Pretty much dead even with Kevin Durant. What else to look at here? I'm trying to remember. Is there anything else I would show you guys last year that I haven't yet? No, I don't think so. Do you have any thoughts on FanDuel? I don't play FanDuel. I do think for my data, you'll still get a pretty good read on how the projections look for both sites, but it's just like I spend my time on DraftKings. I really, not to pander to DraftKings too much, but like I am the most brand loyal for DraftKings. It's where my action is. I feel like I understand the slate's the best on there, and I just don't have the bankroll on FanDuel because I play mostly on DraftKings. So I just don't care enough about FanDuel to do it. That's it. I use Stokastic if you want to use it but my projections will still give you enough of a read. And I do create projections for FanDuel. I just don't care. I to be real about it. Like I show you stuff that I care about. I don't just go through and show stuff that I'm not playing. Same reason I'm not doing prop bets this year. If somebody were paying me to do prop bets, I would do it. But I just like, it's not my personal preference. I'm so focused on DFS before the sport goes away, before it dies. So I want to focus on that and DraftKings DFS in particular. All right, so I think that's everything, guys. We could do a sim, I guess. Let's do that. We'll do a sim because it's the first day of the slate. Not sure if I'll do a single lineup sim every day because, frankly, I don't do a lot of hand building for NBA. Largely let my projections do the work. But let's go here. Single lineup sim. We'll go 15% to first. I appreciate that, Ryan. Yeah, look, I mean, I get it. Like, I know people ask me, like, there's another Ryan last year who'd always ask me about FanDuel. And it would make it a bit where, like, I wasn't going to do it. But yeah, like, I just show you guys the gambling that I'm doing for the most part. When I was doing more stuff with Underdog, I would show pick'ems, but even then, I really wasn't playing pick'ems and battle royales. And I hate doing that, so I only show you guys stuff that I play. And if I add sponsors on here on the channel, it's going to be stuff that I actually want to play and get more access to. So that's just how I do my content. I know a lot of people around the industry will show you everything. I just got to show you stuff I care about because that's how I gamble. All right, going to put in my players here. Luka Doncic. So we're using Stokastic data, so what I have in my projection set won't matter here. But we're going to go Luka. I am also going to go SGA. Just feels like Houston should be a competitive enough spot. And again, having watched the starting five show, I feel like SGA is going to show up in this spot here when you are a defending champion. SGA, just one of those guys I don't really think takes a lot of nights off. And Houston's defense, maybe they trap SGA endlessly. I just don't think you can stop SGA no matter what you're doing. And especially when you put Durant on the floor too, the defense is going to get a little bit worse. Shooting guard. Can we do it with Austin Reeves? Probably not, but I'm going to build a team here that I know reflects what I have in most of my projection set. Austin Reeves is a guy that projects really well for me, and I assume the Lakers will be in this game. If they get smoked, though, Luka and Austin Reeves don't make it, and that probably eliminates a lot of the field. So I don't think the Lakers get blown out by Golden State, but if it did happen, that's definitely going to fuck with a lot of what I would do, and I think that's sort of how these slates go. Let's put Hardenstein at center. You guys saw him be a top value for me. Small forward, getting a little flimsy already, it feels like. But I'll go Aaron Wiggins here. Like Aaron Wiggins upside in a spot where we don't have Jalen Williams available. Power forward, we can't afford a lot here. Jake LaRavia. I'm going to go Jake LaRavia, 3,600. He looks like a decent value for me and Stokastic. 3,700 left per spot. This is probably not it. I got to say, building this team out, it feels like a little too much of a projection team as opposed to one that could spike enough in a sim. It's not crazy about Caruso. I could see how they play Jared Vanderbilt more. Fuck. Vanderbilt projects for 17.9 minutes. Does he produce any better with LeBron off? He produces 0.88 fantasy points a minute without LeBron. I mean, they need a 4, right? Because you're going to play Rui a good amount. All right, let's go Vanderbilt. Don't feel great about it. I think, again, playing SGA, Luka, and Austin Reeves just feels like a fool's errand. But I'm just trying to play my projections that as best I can. And then I don't think we want to play Gary Payton, or do we just want to play Gary Payton because the sim, we got unique enough by playing LaRavia and Vanderbilt? This feels shitty, though. $300 left on the table. Let's sim it out. The team is Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Aaron Wiggins, Jake LaRavia, Isaiah Hartenstein, SGA, Jared Vanderbilt, Gary Payton. All right, 42% ROI. I can live with that. Again, this feels like it's probably too close to my optimal projection lineup. But a positive ROI, wins 0.2% of the time, leaves 300 on the table, so I don't think it's a total deep fest. I can play this team. So that's it for today, guys. Again, back tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's going to be a lot of work for me to get shit right for tomorrow. Really, the first couple weeks at NBA are going to be a bear, but bear with me here because I will show up here and do the work for you guys as best I can. Hit that like button down below. I'll give you guys my splash plays as well at the end of the video. I forgot to promote that. Before I do, though, again, please support the channel if you can. Number one, join the channel. If you join the Discord for $5, you get access to the Discord and the channel right away. If you want to join the Squirt Squad tiers, you get either the sheet I show you on screen here or my exportable projections at the higher dollar tier. So it does support the show and the channel directly, but also if you want to use my data here that I show you guys, and I update lovingly, I would say obsessively every day, join the channel at the Squirt Squad tiers. You'll get access to it already. It's already up on the Discord under the projections channel that you'll have access to automatically by joining here. But please do that, whether it's the $5 tier or the expensive tier. Click the link down below if you want to join Stokastic, whether you use my 15% off promo code SPLASH or their $1 deal that lasts for, I think, a couple days where you get access to all the data, all the sim stuff for a few days, and then you pay full price. Whatever you want to do, click the link down below, then join Stokastic from there. It's the biggest way I'm supporting the show this year because I want to really focus in on, again, the things that I'm showing you here on screen, and it's really a test for me more than anything. Can I get through without having real sponsors and just doing affiliate stuff? So if you want to see this channel go on, want to see the content go on, join Stokastic, join the Discord, do one of those things. Splash plays for today. It's got to be Hartenstein, no matter what. He just projects too well for me as a value. Looks good. Again, I think there are very live pivots for him. If he somehow gets in foul trouble and they want to play big, Jalen Williams gets there. If they want to go a little bit smaller, you probably get Chet Holmgren playing more and getting all the center production. But I would say Hartenstein is like the first part of that. Then when you're not playing Hartenstein, play more Holmgren, play more Jalen Williams alongside that. That would be my way that I'll try to attack it. Besides him, Austin Reeves, another one. I do think Luka's worth paying up for. If you're not paying up for him, I would still be paying for SGA. I just don't see the projection math working for Steph Curry or for Şengün or for Kevin Durant. But those guys are your pivots. If you're not playing the really expensive guys, pay down a little bit, play one of the 9K guys, swallow the projection, and maybe try to build a more balanced team, I think is the best way to do things. But that's the splash plays for a 2-game slate. It's the best we can do here. Shout out to all you guys hanging out here. Again, I appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Of course, make sure to gamble responsibly as well, even though it is always money time here on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel on Twitter at Splash Play Pod, on YouTube at Splash Play Bets. I'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern for more. Back today as well, 6:30 Eastern on Stokastic, live before lock with my pal Greg Ehrenberg. So back into the daily weeds for NBA as well, right before lock time. So come join me on there. And I'll see you guys again soon. Again, enjoy your days. Good luck. And hopefully see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. or if not, today, 6:30 on Stokastic. All right, bye, guys.